Welcome back to the show. I'm Simon with Conrad
And
CJ. Today we're going to be talking about which 5 teams will rise to the top of the league next year. So let's get it started. We'll start with number 5 being
the Oklahoma City Thunder. I personally really think that they have a good young core to build their team around. Sure, you can argue that they're still in rebuild, but if you can see, just imagine if they had Chet Holmgren last year. They still made the play-in tournament, although they lost. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, who's going to be a big game changer if he can stay healthy. Yeah,
that's definitely true. I think they definitely have a good future. All their team members are young. They have an amazing future. Number 4, we will be talking about the Warriors.
Honestly, I think the Golden State Warriors, they did have a disappointing season to start it off. They had a horrible road record, but they still was able to beat the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings were a really great team. They had a really good Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox were two great players. But the Warriors, Steph Curry is just still one of the greatest players, and he's the best shooter in the NBA. They also had Klay Thompson, all those good players, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney really stepped up, just like he did last year.
And weren't they thinking about trading Clay Poole for some more good players, like role players?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
They were thinking about trading Jordan Poole because he had not had a good season this year. Even though he had an outstanding season last year, I personally thought he would actually win Most Improved Player. But in the Lakers series this year, he had a horrible series. Mm-hmm. And I'm not surprised this offseason if they actually trade him or maybe release him. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be interesting. All right, number 3 is going to be the
Denver Nuggets. We've seen what Jokic can do with him and Murray healthy. Jokic has won 2 MVPs back-to-back, without even Jamal Murray really being there in both of those. They've jumped from last year, I think they were like the 6th seed, and now they were the 1 seed this year. Jokic is just an incredible passer, and you put Michael Porter Jr. in there. That defense is really good. And you see what they can do this year. Western Conference champion might even win the finals and bring Denver their first championship. And they have a good bench with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a good shooter, a good point guard. Overall, I just think Denver will be even better next year.
And they're very young, so they're going to last a long time in the years coming. So I think that's definitely in the top 3. Number 2, being one of the best teams that has gone low to high, is the Sixers, the Philadelphia Sixers. So the Philadelphia Sixers have a lot of young players. That's a big thing in the NBA right now. And they have just been, getting better, moving their way up. If you think about 2019, they weren't as good. Just their 2 big players were Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, but they've got more players such as Tyrese Maxey.
As well as
James Harden, Seth Curry, all good role players. And so I think they're going to be doing very good, very skilled for these next few years. All right. Next is a caller. Call in for 563-864-9326.
Hey, this is Chris in Atlanta. So I was just hopping in thinking, I like some of the predictions you have. At the same time, I think the Atlanta Hawks, I know they lost in the first round of the playoffs, but I think they could be a contender next year because, look, they pushed the Celtics to 6 games, and if they hit 2 or 3 more threes, the Celtics would have been going into Game 7 in trouble. And I really think another year under Quinn Snyder of a new head coach, plus with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, and some of those other guys gelling more, they could be a contender in the Eastern Conference. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I agree with that, but the thing is, they've still had some ups and downs, Yeah,
Yeah, if they got trades for different teams because they've got a lot of money in those places, Trae Young is still very young, no pun intended. And so that could be a big option for Atlanta if they just power through, but it'd be a lot harder than a team that has a bunch of young role players.
I personally do not. I can see it, but I also don't see it. At the same time, there has been trade rumors that Trae Young will be going to the Lakers in exchange for D'Angelo Russell and potentially Austin Reeves. So I kind of disagree with that one.
All right. And number one, this is an Eastern Conference team that is currently in the championship, Boston Celtics. We all know that they're very young. The biggest thing in NBA definitely is being able to attack the rim, yet being able to also pass out and hit those three-pointers. So what do you think about the Boston Celtics?
I really think that they will get the number one seed in all of the league next year, with the big three being Marcus Smart's defense, Jason Tatum, that really big defensive wing that can also get you those buckets at the rim, Al Horford at the corner three, Jaylen Brown, if he decides to stay, will be good, and you got Robert Williams, if he stays healthy, that'll be a good addition too.
honestly, I agree with you. But if Jaylen Brown leaves to go to another team, it is okay because they still have Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, two really good players off the bench. As you know, Malcolm Brogdon did win Sixth Man of the Year. Derek White has proved himself as to be a really good pickup after last year, after he was traded for the Spurs.
Yeah. I think the Malcolm Brogdon trade was a very big addition to their team. Well, that is it for today's show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time from CJ Simpson and Conrad Bricker.